The strategy is to look at several categories of anti-Semitism. One thing that's critical is textbooks. If there is an organized institutional indoctrination of anti-Semitic hatred in kids, that is something that we have to combat and end immediately. Because once you do that, it becomes, I'm not going to say impossible, but it becomes almost impossible to undo the damage. This is something we see a great deal in the Middle East. And I'm not talking about Iran, I'm talking about even our allies that are indoctrinating kids in anti-Semitic
hatred. Can you give us examples?
Well, there are textbooks in the Middle East, in countries, I don't want to start naming countries, but there are textbooks in countries, including our allies, that are appalling. And that is something that's got to stop. Because again, it's very important to remember, what happens in the Middle East doesn't stay in the Middle East. What happens in the Middle East directly affects the European street and the American college campus. And so the Middle East is a focus, and anti-Semitism emanating from that part of the world has implications internationally, globally. And so textbooks are a key issue. Second of all, thanks to wonderful surveys, like Michael's, like the FRA survey, that measures with rigor, with methodological rigor, how Jews are feeling. And those numbers are staggering. 90%, like we said, 90% of the Jews in most European countries believe that anti-Semitism is a problem and that it's rising, and a substantial percentage of those are contemplating leaving, literally contemplating leaving their countries because of it. So we have data, we have surveys. Our strategy is we want to see those numbers go down. So right away, we want to see, through the provision of safety and security, a robust infrastructure of it, we want to see those numbers change dramatically, where Jews are feeling safe, where they feel they can express themselves Jewishly, and where they don't, again, if you can't leave your house and feel like you're going to come back in one piece, or put your kids on a school bus and know that they're safe, you cannot have quality of life. And so that is number two, is to see those numbers move. And then finally, number three is to use the diplomatic pressure of the United States, and again, that's my role, I'm the diplomatic representative of our country on this issue, to use the diplomatic power of the United States to have our allies act in concert, to focus on this, and to do what it takes to bring that down. I can tell you that I just had bilateral meetings with 3 countries. I met with senior officials of these governments. For every country, I had a game plan and a list of asks. Every country is different. The problems are different in every country. I was in Eastern Europe, Eastern and Central Europe, very different from Western Europe. But for each country, it's, you're doing a lot of things very well, and here's what you're doing well. However, let's talk about A, B, C, D. What can we do about this? And I'm happy to report that both because everybody realizes that anti-Semitism is a problem today, and because the United States is respected in the world and has clout in the world. For both those reasons, when I meet with our counterparts, the response I get is, okay, we understand you care about this, and we understand not only that you care, but your boss and his boss cares about this, and so let's see if we can make this happen. And I couldn't be more pleased by the response I've gotten. Already one country complied with a specific request I made. They dropped a piece of legislation. So it wasn't a small ask. It was a piece of legislation that was about to be introduced. The country dropped that piece of legislation. That was one of the things I requested. And so we're getting work done. We have a lot to do, but I'm actually optimistic. And if I weren't optimistic about our chances to improve this, I wouldn't have taken the job.
Thank you. Thanks, and thank you for your work.